Welcome back to Momentous Struggle, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. On this week's episode, Aubrey and I are going to talk a little bit about Adepticon, the newly released Grand Tournament schedule, and I think that's probably going to cover about everything that we're going to go over today. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Aubrey, we are back, and I think pretty much recovered from LVO at this point in time. How are you doing?
Well, the continuing saga of home ownership continues. I got to find out that the washer machine that I broke by overfilling it, that part is apparently a slightly different part from the one that's available online because it was discontinued for this exact reason. Because apparently it's easily broken and you cannot get that part anymore. So after wasting $80 on the wrong part, I then had to, well, I mean, the fiance did the legwork on this part, but we had to go get new washer and dryer because someone doesn't want mismatched ones. That's fine. It's okay. It's fine. It's
That's
fine.
normal, Aubrey. You can't that's married life in general. You just don't have mismatched freaking appliances. No, it's unacceptable, Aubrey. 100% unacceptable.
Hey, I could keep going. Immediately after this, I'm gonna be going and taking the oldest to get a different vehicle. Finally, because the last straw is the mechanic literally doesn't understand what's wrong with the car. We have replaced every conceivable part that could be causing the problem, and the problem is still happening.
Nice.
Yay. Yay. How are you, Todd? How are you?
I'm
You must
good.
have something better. You did something fun yesterday. Come on, talk about something fun. I just
Oh yeah.
have
No. I did
money.
we went to I took my kids to Supercross. So that's the dirt biking indoor races that they do and everything like that. So I took my kids to that yesterday. Watched the Australian in the 450 just kind of dominate the field. So it was pretty good. Enjoyable. My oldest daughter gets or my youngest daughter gets really bored really fast. So it's like she made it through about 3 of the 6 races and then was kind of over it. Um, but yeah, no, it was a good time overall. As far as Shatterpoint stuff though, like what have you had a chance to get any Shatterpoint stuff in?
Uh no, because again, I didn't make it to Mr. East tournament like I planned because my back was just not happy, not cooperating. Plus I had a bunch of stuff to do at home, so it was already kind of a last minute. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, and then my back killing me, I just went, no, not doing that. I mean, I am still working on spoilers, everyone. Todd saying we were done with tables. Well, I'm still working on more tables, Todd, because guess what we're probably going to need next year.
Yeah, probably going to need to double like the amount of tables that we had at LVO more than likely. Um, and I mean, there was like I said, there was so many complaints about the terrain, the 3D printed terrain that we're trying to look at other options than what we had because I know that we've talked with some of the guys at War Scenery, and they're willing to work with us on their terrain and getting options. I mean, as far as the other company, I don't they don't really respond to your emails very frequently. So I mean, we're just gonna just kind of maybe have to find another option there as far as like other things. I'd like to have a little bit more diversity in the tables that we have anyway. So we'll play around with it and see what happens with the terrain going forward. But yeah, I think we're gonna have to expand the options and everything along those lines of what we have for the terrain.
Yeah, and there's a new Kickstarter that came out that looked really promising. It has a bunch of modular options for creating different configurations of its tables. And I mean, I am still, I mean, sorry everybody, but the two fastest ones to print are Fractured City and generator rooms. So there's going to be at least a few more of those tables. But there's a Kickstarter. Wow, I can't even remember the name of it right now. But if you go on the Discord, you'll find it under the 3D printing page. But they have some really cool options. So I backed that. I'm going to look into some other things. And then again, the war scenery terrain, like not that you want to do a lot of work messing with it, but you can go into slicing stuff software and cut off some of like those more awkward terrain features. Like it's not even really editing the file. You just say, I don't want to print that part of the existing file, and it goes
Mhm.
okay. So I'm gonna also experiment because I have some of the war scenery it's not, I don't think they're the exact same ones, but they're similar to the ones that Tyson had printed for us. But I will just go in and chop off the stuff that's been causing problems. And the other thing we can do is like it was scaled up 112%, but really if you want to get from 32 to 40, like truly 32 to 40, do you want to scale it up to 125%? Again, this was experimental, right? We were just trying to
Mhm.
make sure we could get enough tables for LVO and get across the finish line. Now that we know just how frustrating those tables were, I can work on editing it so that those tables are less frustrating. It's just a simple matter of going into the file and going, nope, nope, 125, send to the printer. So
Yeah.
that there's stuff there. We got options. We got options.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, no. So I mean, it's. But other than that, I did get out to the normal Wednesday meetup over at Gamers Guild in North Phoenix and played a game. I just for the ease of it, it was a newer player. I cannot remember his name off of the top of my head. I think I want to say it's Alec, but of course I could be completely wrong because I, have may have hit my head one or two times when I was in the military and lost a brain cell or two. So
I,
you know,
did you hit your head or did somebody hit your head for you?
somebody probably hit my head for me while driving a Humvee or two. But yeah, so so no, but I did get a chance to meet up with him, and we played a pretty fun game, and it was nice. There was two tables of Shatterpoint going. We had like about six people for MCP, so it was a nice little meetup that we had going on over there for sure. Definitely enjoyable. I know that on our Discord he's called Quaint Man, so I'm not, but I at least can say that much. But no, it was a fun game. He ended up playing he wanted to try out Iden, and I had my Iden box with me. So he would played Iden Vader, basically those two boxes together, and I played Hunter, Wrecker, and Tekko, along with Obi. Who was it? It was Obi Rex and ARC Troopers. Bless you. So,
Excuse me.
um, and ultimately, yeah, I mean, I do like playing with having the ability to keep those hunger tokens because of Obi was pretty good. I think since it was his first time playing Iden, I think he kind of misplayed them a little bit because he basically kept um both of his scouts, both the ISF, on the same side instead of spreading them out so he could get that maximum coverage for the scouts giving that extra dice out, that extra hit out. But it was like I said, he's fairly new. I mean, all of his models are still, I think, unpainted, as he's still trying to just get into the game. I think I saw him. It was weird. I randomly saw him as I was leaving the store maybe 2 weeks ago, like the week or two before LVO, so maybe about a month ago now. I'm leaving the store as he's walking in with a box of Shatterpoint, and you know me, I'll just sit there and talk to anybody. I'm like, hey, Shatterpoint, that's a great game, you should meet up on Wednesdays. And like he just was like, okay, and just started coming on Wednesdays to play. So I mean, that's like I guess that kind of will lead into a later conversation about like community building, where it's like sometimes I know we're all awkward nerds and stuff like that, but sometimes it's good to like get out of your shell and just have a conversation, because now, because of that simple me going, hey, but I'm not going to be here for a while, but you should come and show up, that does add to the growing the community just by taking 30 seconds to say, hey, I'm leaving, but I'll be here this time next week, and if you want to sit there and show up, and then show up, and then it happens. But yeah, like I said, it's cool to sit there and see how that can help grow like you can bring people in and slow grow your community just by stopping and having a 30-second conversation.
Right. That's actually something I've been thinking about going into the new year because outside of outside of tournaments and leagues, I'm not able to show up for the Wednesday meetup, and I was thinking, what can I do to get more consistent games? And I know there are several options, but I was actually thinking now that Gamers Guild North is open later on Sundays. I might actually see if anybody's interested in doing some kind of like later in Sunday afternoon is would be a pretty good time for me most weeks. I mean, other than like Mystery does his once a month tournament, so like obviously I wouldn't meet up that week because I still want to support the guys down in Maricopa. But uh yeah, I've been thinking about that I need to try and figure out something that works with my schedule. See if I could even just get one or two people who might be interested in a Sunday game. I know it's the end of the week and everybody's kind of trying to gear up for their work week, but I don't know. There's got to be somebody out there who has the same weird schedule as me where like
I don't think that's
Tuesday
possible.
Tuesday and Sunday are like my free days and
Those are
only kind
those are
of
weird days. Yeah, those are weird days to have as free days. Just to let you know, I don't.
I know. It's my life. It's my life. So be it. I don't know. Anyway, hey, local dear listeners, if anybody's interested in some games on Sunday, let me know in the Discord cuz
Yeah,
I need to get a little more consistent cuz I'm definitely feeling I wouldn't say rusty because I mean I did have that game with Omnis and LVO, but I definitely am not getting enough games in, and I need to do something about that. And again, the onus is on me. I need to actually get out there and do this. I'm not like everybody meets on Wednesday and that's not fair. No, that's when everybody meets. I just can't meet on Wednesday, so I got to figure something else out.
yep, yeah. No, I agree. It's your fault. So no. So I wanted like one of the things I wanted, and
Todd's
I
trying to get a spit take.
no. So one of the things I wanted to also say is like I had a meeting a couple days ago with Adepticon about the streaming coverage for Adepticon, and was given the green light to basically announce at this point in time that yes, we are doing coverage for Adepticon. It's been in the works for a while, but there's contracts that need to be signed and not hoops you need to jump through, but approvals that need to be met and everything along those lines. So I wanted to make sure that we got all those in place before, and of course, Adepticon wanted to make sure we got all those in place as well. I don't know what's printing in the background, but yeah, we wanted
I
to.
don't know why the printer has been running all this time. I don't know why it's suddenly louder. Hang on, I'm just gonna pause it.
So basically, though, yeah, we definitely are going to be doing coverage going forward at Adepticon. The way their schedule is going to be working out, they have Heat 1 for the World Championships on Thursday, Heat 2 on Friday, and then the is it top 32, yeah, top 32 on Saturday, and then the top 4 on Sunday um for the world championships. And based off of that, we're just going to be covering world championships the full 4 days. There are other events going on. We will probably try and just give live updates of what's going on. Our team is expanding from 2 to 4 people this year, so we definitely will have more personnel to sit there and kind of give reports from the floor as far as what's going on and everything like that. So like maybe in between rounds, we can have one of the other guys kind of just jump in and kind of give like a floor report of some of the cool stuff that they're seeing to kind of add to what's going on at Adepticon, and everything along those lines. So that should be a good time for all of that for sure, as far as what we're going to be able to do, and everything along those lines. Did you have did you have anything you wanted to add on that one?
No, I mean that makes sense. I mean this is a big deal. If you listen to the other content creators, they are already talking about the gamification of Heat 1 and Heat 2 because some people really want to play in the it's a team event that's on Friday, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems to be maybe stiffer competition in Heat 1 as opposed to Heat 2. So some people are literally skipping the team event because they're hoping that playing in Heat 2 will give them greater odds of
Right.
success. And it's just fun. It's just fun. Like I love like I was thinking about alternate game modes just idly the other day, and I was
Mm.
thinking about how much easier it is in Shatterpoint to avoid people gaming the situation as opposed to like say Magic. Like remember Commander where like a solid couple hundred cards should be banned because they're too
Mm.
strong and they just don't for some reason. Yeah, the nerds are gonna game. The nerds are gonna game, and I'm excited to see how. Oh, hello. That's the normal start time. The spoilers, everyone. Uh, you know, Aubrey had to get up early because of the car situation. Anyway, where was I? Oh, just the gamification. Nerds gonna nerd. That's all.
Yep. Yeah, and I know that looking at like the heats and everything like that, they have expanded the 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 amount of spots for each world championship heat. So I believe they went up to 64 for each heat at this point in time. So there is, as of this point in time, which is 8:45 on February 2nd, Arizona time, of course. There's 5 spots left in Heat 1, and there are, I want to say, 17 spots left in Heat 2. So there is definitely some stuff available for that. The team tournament, they've only got 1 spot left in the team tournament, so that one's going to be pretty full as far as that's concerned. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of cool stuff going on throughout the entire weekend. We'll definitely, like I said, have someone on the floor kind of checking out the team tournament on Friday. There's, I think, just some, I want to say just some like random learn to play stuff. There's that alternate format with the legendary encounter going on Thursday. Of course, they have their all weekend league that will keep on going on. There is just a normal showdown event that's full for Saturday. That's probably for the people that aren't, that either not playing in the World Championships or just wanting to play something different. And then there's of course the one that I'm really excited about is that there now the mission pack pre-release that they're going to be doing. That's completely full.
Yeah.
They do have what I'm assuming is their new frenemies event, the adversaries and allies, that'll be going on Sunday. Doesn't look like that's gotten a lot of traction. There's like 22 spots left for that one. So I know, but like I said, we'll have people on the floor kind of just giving updates of what's going on outside of the World Championships, to kind of really give everybody a good idea of what's going on there.
Yeah. It is. I wish we had enough to like cover everything, but we don't. So of course we're gonna focus on the world championships because
Mhm.
right? Are they world championships? Is that the
It
right
is.
word? I
It's,
don't
it's
even.
an open world championship now, yeah, and it is actually a
Yeah, world.
GT
Okay,
because it's
world.
open.
Right. Okay, I'm just sorry, just checking because I'm like some game systems they like our world championships are different. It's galactic standoff or I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, I wish we could do both because like the adversaries, the allies looks like they're continuing to riff on that frenemies format. Although I kind of understand that that's the one that's still open because of the like the feedback we got on that event.
Mhm.
Basically, Lando causes too many problems. like
Yeah, I mean, I think there's one of those where you just kind of have to adjust as needed with those events, and like there's probably just characters that just can't. If you're going to continue to do frenemies, there's just going to have to be characters that you cannot include at all. And I think like Lando's one of them where he kind of just breaks. He's easily breaks the format. So um
yeah,
but yeah, so we'll definitely like I said, we'll definitely be keeping our eye on everything going on. We last year we did break away at the end for the big Adepticon reveal. I think we're going to do something a little different. I don't think we're going to break away from the event so that we continue to give the coverage of that. But we will have somebody in the reveal, taking pictures and getting information and then trying to get that out as quickly as possible. to that. I know, like as we're going on more than I don't want to say I know. I would assume that the guys over at PCN Professional Casual Network will probably be doing a live stream of that. They like they do every year, at least for the last 2 years. And they so the best case scenario, if you want to be watching it, you can just have two separate windows open, one with us doing the live stream and then one that's showing all of the goodness that's going on up at the reveal. So definitely a lot of that can be happening as well. So yeah, so I mean that's definitely we will try and cover everything we can and have all of our ducks in a row, so to speak, for that. The last thing I kind of want to talk about with like kind of Adepticon adjacent is they have officially announced their convention exclusive for the Jedi Deluxe Dual Pack, which is that's the one with the Ahsoka and Darth Vader from what is that, season 4 of Rebels? I want to say maybe season 3, where
No,
Ahsoka.
it's season three because isn't the season three and then the last season is after what
Mhm.
happens to Kanan. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure something like that.
yeah.
But
So this is
you talk and I'll look it up.
okay. Well, but yeah. So this is the convention exclusive. It's like this is probably one of my favorite Ahsokas in her entire arc is when she really becomes the force user that I think she was meant to be in the entire arc of her story. So which the one thing I guess I want to say with this one, yes, we are getting a third Vader. Yes, we are getting a third Ahsoka, but these are two of the most iconic characters in Star Wars, so get used to it, I guess. We're going to be seeing them a lot as time goes on. I know it's not what everybody wants, uh, but I think that we're going to just be seeing this. It's I know like in MCP, there's like three versions of multiple characters as well, and that's just something that's going to happen within the life of a game, especially Star Wars. The most popular characters are just going to have multiple versions of themselves. And you know what, some are going to be good, some might not be the ones that you're exactly going to want to play, but I think this is going to be good for the game overall.
Oh yeah, and here's my thing. I know that there are some details of this announcement that are not exactly clear yet. Like it said, it's a con exclusive. They said they're going to make it available at different cons. Like we don't have all of that information, but the fact that it also is going to be like available as a regular pack without all of the awesome terrain. Yes, I get it. Everybody wants the awesome terrain because this one actually looks like you can put it on the table and use it. I mean, maybe more like scatter, although that pillar thing is big enough. Regardless, like the fact that there's two versions is what makes me hopeful, because the biggest problem with exclusive stuff like this that you can only get one way is if the units are cracked, then the only people who get to have fun with them are the people who happen to get them. So I don't have any qualms about this because I think it's cool to have stuff that is exclusive to an event, as long as it's stuff that you can get other ways, like if it's an alternate skin, or if it's like a bonus terrain, or as long as there's something that makes it feel exclusive while not undercutting the rest of the players and the rest of the communities, because not everybody can make it to a con. I get it, it's expensive. Planes, hotels, food, all of that is expensive. I know very well how expensive it is, but nah, this looks like it's gonna be fun. Here's my thing, Todd. I now want all the dual packs to be Darth Vader. We're gonna have 15 Darth Vaders by the time we're done.
There is the possibility of that. I mean, the other thing is also, I mean, they do say that you are going to be able to purchase this online during Adepticon through Asmodee USA online shop. I know we don't 100% know what that means as far as people internationally and how they're going to do it. I mean, if it's going to impact their ability to buy just simply because the restriction of shipping, because it is going through the Asmodee USA shop, or if they're going to expand that to where it's going to be able to be used, purchased through your local Asmodee online shop. I'm sure that we will get more information about that as time goes on. Um, I mean, it's been my experience that Atomic Mass Games has been pretty good about sharing information when they when it falls in line with what they're looking to do and what they're wanting to reveal. But they as far as compared to other games and other miniature games, they're pretty open with their communications with their player base. So I would expect that they are already hearing like some of the whispers, and maybe louder than whispers, about the frustration about the purchasing aspect of it, and are going to probably address that before we actually get to Adepticon. At least internally, if not externally.
Right, right. And I like I'm not trying to be like, ah ha ha, I get to go there, so I'm happy and I don't care about this because frankly, like I I would just like to play with the characters. That's actually what I care about. I am really hopeful. I'm hopeful, fingers crossed. If Callus gets the Spectre tag, then maybe Ahsoka does too, which would give me another Spectre to play with. I don't know. I assume she's going to have some kind of synergy with the rest of the Rebel crew, even if it's not Spectre synergy. Like because she was Fulcrum. Like that part always confused me in that story. Like she's Fulcrum, but Callus is Fulcrum. Everybody's Fulcrum. Whatever.
They did
Oh,
address
by the
that.
way,
They did address that
yes,
in the series.
eventually. Hey, ADHD baby didn't have time to wait. I'm like, who the heck is Fulcrum? Just tell me.
Fulcrum
Uh
is an idea.
Fulcrum is a philosophy. Um but that was the end of season 2, by the way. I thought it was
Okay,
season 3. Man, that stuff happened pretty
fast.
early on, like
Yeah.
halfway through the story. It's interesting. Uh but I mean, here's the thing. Like there's there's stuff that not everyone is going to get, and you're like, well, welcome to capitalism. I don't know about you, Todd, but I don't have a yacht sitting in my backyard. Not that I want one either, but like this is just the thing is it doesn't impact the average player's ability to enjoy the game. I don't think so because you will be able to get this. Now, hopefully it's not like Padawan Ahsoka where people had Padawan Ahsoka and it took like almost a year. Well, or no, was it like 6 months, 8 months? I'm trying to remember.
It was a while before Plo came out. The Plo box came out.
Right. Right. So like here's hoping it isn't like a 9 month gap, but I mean you can tell that AMG is iterating on its processes and speeding things up and learning from its own logistical supply chain stuff. So I'm hopeful that they will recognize that if this is a yet another broken Vader and a really good Ahsoka, they're not gonna let a handful of players dominate the meta for 6 months without releasing it. Because I mean, I just want to know: is it going to be a completely different sculpt? Like that'll be interesting. Like, will the because the pose that Ahsoka has is kind of pretty pretty much stuck to that terrain. So is she gonna? Are they gonna have like different poses? I don't know. Vader probably not, but I'm just
I
curious.
mean, her base might actually have like, so like if you look at some of the other like things, that usually the base drops into like a hollowed out area, so to speak.
Mhm.
And so I'm assuming that's kind of what it is, and you're just not able to see it based off of the way that the photo was taken. Um, because of the
Right. I assume. I just don't know how she's gonna look like straight up. Is
standing
she gonna
straight
look
up
like
and
she's
down.
like is she
Yeah.
gonna I don't know. The model looks cool. I trust you guys, AMG. I mean, you made General Grievous freaking awesome, and that's like not one of my favorite characters. Sorry, Pierce Christopher. And like I trust them. I trust them.
We just
I
we just
just
lost a
want to
patron.
know
Thanks a lot,
more.
Aubrey. We just lost a patron there. That's awful. Jeez.
Hey, come on. You know what? There's too many cool other characters who also have lightsabers. Sorry.
You're right. Darth Maul is probably the best.
I mean, you're not wrong. Sam Witwer did such a good job reviving a character that had no business being revived, and he's so good.
Yep.
I'm so glad they did it, even if it makes absolutely no sense.
Hey, works for me. All right. So yeah, I think that kind of covers like the general Adepticon stuff. Like I said, I know there's a lot there's a lot of discontent over this box. I'm like I said, personally, I'm excited for it. Yes, it's a third Vader, but there's nothing wrong with Vader all day, all night. So yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what we get, and what these characters actually look like. Hopefully, we're what, a month and a half away, like 7 weeks away from Adepticon. So I think
Oh yeah,
we would start
that's
seeing it.
close.
Yeah, I think we'll start
Oh,
seeing it. Oh yeah, and then the other thing that we were going to talk about, which will probably take up the rest of this episode, is the grand tournament. The new schedule for the grand tournaments come out, which is interesting. Like looking at this because the end of the 24-25 grand tournament schedule hasn't officially ended yet because there is multiple events that are happening on from that schedule in April, in May, and things along those lines. Because like if you look through it in France, France has like a ton of events still happening. They have one in Chirbo. They have the one. Then there's an event in Madrid, another event in Paris. All those in March. Then April, there's an event in Finland, and one in Denmark, and then finally another event in France in May. So I mean, there's still a bunch of events from the 24 schedule, the 24-25 schedule, that are showing up, that haven't been finished quite yet. And then you take into account like us here locally in Phoenix, we still have the Gamers Guild event that is going to be, it doesn't when this one like kind of threw me off. This one is supposed to have MCP, Legion, and Armada, but for some reason on the 25-26 schedule it's showing up there as MCP, Legion, and Shatterpoint. If they were running Shatterpoint there, I would have known about this a while ago. So I don't think we're there. I think that's just kind of a misprint there. And they also have the Richmond Open in May that's showing up. So like there's a lot of events that are on this event that haven't completed from the previous season, and I think there's just going to be a lot of like crossover from that we're seeing, that is going to be taking place. So there's, I mean, and then of course there's some Canada events as well. They still have a bunch of events on their calendar, with there's one in Nova Scotia, one in British Columbia, one in Alberta, two in Alberta actually, and then one in Ontario. So there's a ton of events that still have yet to get finished from the previous season going into this season, which is weird to
right.
me.
Right, and I think that's kind of what confused some people because when you look at this announcement, it looks like some countries are getting like triple and quadruple duty, but that's just because it's showing you the overlap of last year, the ones that still haven't finished, and we're seeing the ones from next year. I don't know why they didn't choose to delineate that more clearly in the communication, but all it is they're showing you all of the upcoming GTs, and
Mhm.
bear in mind that some of those GTs were the ones that were scheduled last year when we went through this application process last time. It's
Correct.
not clear from their messaging that that's what's happening here. So just again, if you are frustrated about the locations and maybe why some places are getting more love than others, it's actually just because they're doing the schedule early while it's not quite done everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, and that kind of leads into one of the others. Like, there's been a fair amount of frustration in regards to um, the events, where they're taking place, when they're taking place, and things along those lines. Looking at everything, there's a total of 19 events that are going on in the United States. And that's kind of where, I mean, like that's where I'm located. So that's where a lot of the frustration I think is coming out at. And I would say, looking at it, it doesn't look like there might be one or two actual game stores that get it compared to like last year. There was a lot of game stores that got GTs, where this is looking like they're kind of starting to lean more towards going with just conventions. Like it's Adepticon, Ironweld, Lone Star Open, NashCon, Evergreen Open, Gen Con, Nova, Conquest, Smite Club Open, Sci-Fi Invitational, is kind of a con, but that's the sci-fi guys. They've been doing a great job running their own like large event. That's probably one of the largest non-con events that's been going on since this game launched. They also have PAX and Plug, and then of course LVO with a couple of others, the Salt City GT, Everwinter, and SoCal. All of these events are growing, are large convention type of events, and I think that's kind of where, at least from the outside looking in, looks like where AMG's trying to go with their GTs is make this more of a convention style event, not a.
Uh,
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. You finish your thought. I was just
Well,
gonna
no, I mean I know that
piggyback.
there's. Yeah, I know that they're like I think they're trying to move away from the game stores getting that exclusivity and kind of trying to give it more towards the larger, more established conventions.
Right. And what I was going to say is just this kind of reminds me of the earlier days of Magic before they created the like multi-tier system of like you go to a qualifier to go to a qualifier to actually make it to the real thing. Before it was just you if you wanted to get into one of those qualifying events, you pretty much had to travel because they like like Northern Nevada, bah, like Vegas would maybe get one of those events. Like
Mhm.
you didn't get an event in Reno. Like eventually when they created the multi-tier system just cuz the game was exploding in popularity and there was just too many people trying to attend these events, then they started trickling back down into the stores. But for the most part, I mean, like the biggest events I've ever attended in Magic were always at cons. Like they were now Magic was big enough that they could just do their own Magic Con and nothing, there was nothing else there but Magic. But my point is just like you pretty much had to travel if you were trying to get on the road to the pro tour, to the world championship, to be the very best in Magic. You had to travel. And for me, I mean, most of the time when I lived in Nevada, we were traveling to California, we were traveling to Washington. We like there were that like even Vegas did not always have those large events. Like eventually it started becoming a staple because there was that year where Vegas just exploded. Like nobody was expecting Vegas to be as big as it was, and then it was massive. And they went, okay, apparently we need to focus on the the city of cardboard and dreams. Like uh I don't know what I was going there,
I
but
don't either. That's all
like
right.
it took time. My point is that it took time, and the focus was always on the larger events because there tends to be more people at them. Like we're
Mhm.
trying to grow these GTs and make them bigger. So I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, on the flip side, the better system, of course, is where it's a mixture of both, but we're still in year two. I'm talking
Right.
about Magic right now. What 30 Magic's been around for 30 years, and
Yeah.
their events were not that big back in
Mhm.
like the 90s. Like I mean, come on. Like we're in year two.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll reach a point where they're able to do more GTs cuz I almost forgot. The other thing about Magic. You want to know something fun about prize support in Magic? Like in the olden days, yeah, WotC Wizards of the Coast would send out like prize stuff support and booster boxes and stuff for stores and would help them out. Eventually they turned and I mean maybe it was a mixture of both, like some free and you could pay for more, but eventually they started charging TOs for that prize support.
Well,
It
or
wasn't free
stores. Yeah.
anymore,
Or the stores. Yeah.
right?
Like I know when they started switching over to the more modern way of doing it, those prize packs were for the RCQs or whatever they're called nowadays. Um, those were things that the stores themselves would have to pay for. They would have to buy the promos, and the stores pay for those packs, and that's part of the entry fee was them that coverage for that. So that's one of the things to keep in mind is that, like, yeah, there's AMG's going and putting out all of these all this prize support, and it's like a 19 in the United States, and then you probably add another 20 to 30 throughout the rest of the world between the UK, between Europe and Canada and Australia. So I mean, there's this is a marketing thing more than anything. This is a way that they market the game. Yes, it would be ideal probably for all the local players to have their own independent GTS, or something along those lines. But unfortunately, it's just not. I don't see that happening. What I would say, I mean, especially coming from like the MCP side, where the GAT game is almost 6 years old now, and they didn't have a GT system, and a lot of that was like community created within Arizona. We have our own community that really kind of grew it. I mean, I ran a state championship series where basically every store that wanted to had an event that qualified for a larger tournament at the end of the year. Probably there might be something where we're going to do something like that similar in the Shatterpoint world. I'm not sure. Like as our community is still growing, so it's one of those where I don't know if it's going to fill the way that I would like it to. Uh, but that's something that, like, for those communities that haven't gotten a GT but maybe are hoping to next year get a GT, look at it this year as a way to sit there and kind of put yourself on the map as far as the type of events and the what you're getting. Run your own small events. I mean, and the biggest thing I would say is, like, you want to try and get, your players over those 10 player numbers, to sit there and show that you do have the kind of players that are willing to come out, and it is going to be worthwhile for a GT to take place in your city, because the big number that they want is 32 players. If you're only getting 6 to 8 players per event at your locals, I mean, that is something that I would assume that Atomic Mass Games is going to be looking at, where, like locally, like Jake Rader, man, he's been running some banger of events. He's getting 16 to 20 people at just his regular weekly meetup. Same with like Matt Booker over at Gamers Guild. He's getting, events that have 12 to 16 players. And that's the biggest thing that you want to do, is like have like at least a couple events a year where you're getting these banger events that are really kind of showing that, yes, our community can support a large event that is sponsored by the, by Atomic Mass Games. I mean, that's ultimately what it is.
Right. And like, for example, at Smite Club, we brought like our own prizes. Like we had like Funko Pops and just extras at terrain packs, and just we
We 3D
we
printed some models and had them professionally painted, and yeah, we did a lot of stuff.
right. So if you are feeling the hurt of not having a GT in your backyard, I mean, I hate to say we have GT at home, but you can run a GT. You can run the format. You can run an event as if it were a GT with a top cut if you really want to do that, or do Swiss. Like you by now the tournament packet is, I'm sure, out in the wild enough that you can at least see how a GT is run and run it like that, or just run a Premier Showdown Plus, right? Like call it a fancy name, call it
Mhm.
I don't know, the Fernley Invite. I'm trying to think of the silly
Or
like
that
what
your city of choice tournament of champions. Like, you can give it a fancy name. Like, if you're in,
yeah.
let's say you're in Las Vegas, it's the Las Vegas Tournament of Champions. Something along those lines. But like, the biggest thing is, you can go and 3D print some trophies out. Get like a trophy for first, second, third. You can, like, we made those Matt Baugh at Smite Club made those really cool dashboards where it was like it had your scoring tracker, and it had the place for
Yay.
your order deck. I mean, and that was really simple. He just designed it and then printed it at like Kinko's or whatever his local, shop was, on basically like a playmat. So there's all sorts of different things that you can do to be kind of inventive about making swag at an inexpensive cost. I mean, like I said, 3D printing, like a lot of people have 3D printers. Like, maybe you can go to someone in your community, like, look, if I buy you the filament, or what if it's a resin printer, buy the resin, to sit there and print off these, this particular thing for me that I can use as a trophy for my event. And it will start, that alone, like, the swag is what brings people in. another thing, some of like reach out to some TOs that have had GTs. Sometimes there might be some extra foil cards that are floating around that just didn't get passed out, and they're willing to send those out to you to sit there and give as prize support for if you didn't get a GT. So those are, again, all sorts of different things that are out there that like, but lean into your resources, lean into the other people in the community, and make your event stand out so that AMG has to take notice next year when you put your application. They're like, they can sit there and look at it and go, you know what, we didn't give these guys an event last year, but they really stepped up and they really made their community grow to where they could support a 32 player event, because that's ultimately what they're looking at is, are you on the road to that 32? Can you get close to that? Yeah, at least, I mean, like the Shatterpoint GTs, they haven't been hitting those numbers, but you really want to get at least halfway there. You really want to show that you can run a 16 to 20 player event, um, and that you're going to be able to do that. And that's, I think, the biggest thing is, let's, you know, put that effort in. It's not the easiest thing. Growing a community is not easy by any means. Trust me, I have worked that myself, and tried to grow communities, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. But that's if you're wanting to sit there and get to that big stage of one of those 19 to 20 locations that are getting the GTs and taking it, like, if they don't add GTs, that means you're going to have to outperform one of the other GTs that are out there already. Like Arizona, we had a Shatterpoint GT that had 27 players. So it's shown that, we can get a GT that's pretty darn close to that 32 number. And that's kind of where you're wanting to go, is like, can you show that you can outperform those other GTs, so that, there's a reason to take for the powers that be at Atomic Mass Games to take that, to give you that recognition and take that step to maybe give you one on top of, or maybe you're taking the spot of somebody else.
Yeah. And you know what? Hey, I just got another where is it? I got yet another set of foil cards for being a judge at the event. And you know what? They're still in the bag that they came
Mm.
in because I already have all those cards. So you know what? Reach out to us in the Discord. I've got a whole pack of foils. I will send somebody's way if you could convince me that you're gonna run a cool event. You got to tell me what you're gonna do. Like,
Right.
come on, and
Right.
I'm happy. I'm happy. I will mail those to you as long as you take cool pictures during your event. How about that? Like
Yeah. I
that,
mean,
that that's the other thing is market it, right? Like talk it up, tell us about it, drop it in the unofficial Discord or our Discord or what your Discord of choice. I don't care. Rogue support, the Slack at Zi-Fi. I just call him Zi-Fi now. I don't know. Whatever. The guys in Utah. Like share, talk to us. Like we I understand this is frustrating. I was doing this for Magic all the way back in Nevada when our awesome local games, I almost said local LGS, oh my word, local game store, uh he closed down because he was having health issues, and so there was also some community stuff that was not him, other people. Like it sucks. It's awful when you are like, I was running Magic events out of my library for a hot minute, like and like on the DL, like as a volunteer gig separate from my job. I get it. It sucks, but uh, it's kind of just keep going for those incremental gains, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a big piece of it, is, yeah, we just, sometimes you just need to, you need to put in the work, and like a lot of times you're going to probably feel underappreciated, unappreciated, and that's gonna, like, it sucks. It does. There it is a bad point to it, but at the end of the day, like, sometimes it's going to be worthwhile. I mean, like, I know, like I said, when I first started running the state championships for MCP, man, I it was a lot of work. Like, I had a partner that was supposed to be helping, and it just kind of, like, he kind of just fell off the grid. So it was a lot of hard work, a lot of frustrating work. But at the end of the day, I had over 30 players that played in across the entire series, and they appreciated me running the events, and that was worthwhile for me. And sometimes that's all it is like, maybe it's going to be a year or two to sit there and put all that work in before you actually feel like you're being recognized for what you put into it. And it's going to be a long road sometimes.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm asking you live, so forgive me if I got this mixed up. But now that's like a West and East series, like on each side of the
No,
valley, right?
that's the
And
league. So that's the league. So there's a there's a state champion series. The
oh,
series
oh, oh, okay.
but the series, to be fair, takes place throughout the entire state. Like we run events down in Tucson, in Phoenix, North Phoenix, East Valley, West Valley. There's events all over the state. It's like basically one event a month at a different store that culminates in like an invitational championship series at the end of the year for like the top 16 players that have played in the events. This the league has grown. That's probably got closer to about 50 to 60 players. And that but that's grown to where Tucson has their own division, and then there is like an east and a west division for that. But that's what I'm saying is like you can slow like, but it took us 4+ years to get to that point. Even through COVID, yeah, COVID was in there, but even post COVID, it took us a while to get to this point, and it's sometimes it's a slow grow, which is frustrating. Like there's you're gonna have more setbacks than anything, I think, as it goes.
Yeah, and also now, I mean, isn't there like there's like two or three guys who help you with this now, right? Because you were doing this by yourself, and now isn't there like I'm just this is me not remembering. This is stuff Todd has told me, dear listeners, and I'm like I don't remember it all because it's
So
MCP, and so my
yeah,
brain
so
deletes it.
the league it was like something that was started by another group, and then we all took over, and there's like five of us that ultimately oversee the league at this point in time. The state championship series, the series that's something I kind of started on my own, and now I have like a couple individuals, like the rest of the our quote unquote admin group kind of chips in and helps out with. But yeah, there's like eight of us all together now that like help grow our community. But it started out with basically just two guys that I wasn't even part of to begin with, that were really wanting to help grow the community. Since that time, they've stepped down, and like other people have stepped up, and that's kind of the thing is like sometimes you just have to be that person to start the train moving. And like I said, those two guys, uh, Jason and um, Anthony, they on our MCP community, they really were like the heart and soul of getting everything moving, and kind of kept the community running by themselves for like a year and a half, 2 years, until the rest of the community kind of stepped in and started helping out with a lot of the other things. And it might be that where you kind of have to be this engine that runs your community by yourself for a while until the rest of your community is just willing to jump in and start helping, because it does take a while. It does. So for all of those that are out there going through that struggle of trying to grow the community, we definitely we understand. We wish you luck, and if you do need some support or anything like that, like I said, you can reach out to us here, and I'm sure any other community would be more than happy to help you. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I mean, I know Matt over at Rogue Support. He's a huge community builder with his local community. He runs a lot of events. I mean, he runs Nova, he runs PAX, so he's definitely a good resource, and I'm sure he's more than willing to sit there and talk. Same with the guys over at Zion's Finest. I mean, they run their Zi-Fi Invitational multiple times a year. They're locked in with a pretty good community. I know Abby runs their Salt Lake Open, so there's a lot of good resources out there for those. If you're still trying to kind of get your bearings on how to do it, I mean, there's not a right or wrong answer. But I think like a lot of us can definitely help out with saying, here's what we did, and here's how we kind of promoted what we did to make it work for us, and we're more than happy to sit there and kind of have that conversation.
Yeah, and if you want to get more detailed information, I know we've done episodes on TOing in the past. I know so has I mean Rogue Support and Red Mandos. I know we're supposed to be we're trying to get the schedule worked out. We're supposed to sit down and actually talk with the Red Mandos about this subject again. So look, keep an eye out on their feed. Yes, I know their episodes are 3 hours long. You'll be okay. You'll make it. It'll be fine. I don't know if our part will be 3 hours long, but you know, just saying, we got
We'll we'll
this.
we'll join
We
them for
got
like 45 minutes of their 3 hour episode is what will probably happen. So it's like
yeah, well,
they'll
yeah.
they'll sandwich us in somewhere, be like, oh, we'll talk for an hour and a half, then we'll have 45 minutes of momentous struggle, then we'll talk for another hour and a half. So we'll make it a 4 hour episode because we joined them for an hour. So
I mean, I definitely, if I want to get credit for extending something long past when it should be done, I mean, I'm happy to report that I made Omnis play the longest game of Shatterpoint ever. I'm proud of that. I don't care that drinking and food was involved. It still counts. It still counts.
yeah, we had enough time to walk across the street and have 2 pizzas freshly made and walk back with them, and before you guys were even close to done with your game. So yeah, no, but definitely getting back to that, we definitely want to help grow the community in any way that we can. Granted, like I said, we're on the other side of the country from some of you, maybe some on the other side of the world for some of you, but we do want to sit there and help in any way we can. So, like I said, good luck to all of you out there as you try to grow your communities. Um, I know that it's going to be difficult, and everything along those lines. But yeah, I think that's all I had. Did you have any closing thoughts before we end this one up here, Aubrey?
Uh, just remember that it's supposed to be fun. I know that it gets stressful when events don't go the way you want. You don't get the breaks you feel like you want to have for your particular community. Just remember to try and have a positive mindset about it. You clearly care about this game. You care about your community. If you're having strong feelings about it, and try to remember that's a good thing. That means you're doing something that you love. Like that's great. A lot of people go through life and they never really do get to do anything like this. So it may feel like you're doing it by yourself, but I promise you, you're not. Uh, just stay positive.
Right, right. Well, on that note, I do want to sit there and kind of close us out here. As always, I want to thank our patrons for all of the support that they give us. They definitely help us keep the show running. Definitely are the ones that are helping us get to Adepticon and run Adepticon. Like they're getting there and being able to do the show. There is not a cheap task. So like your support definitely helps get us to the point where we're able to sit there and go to the largest convention in the world and be able to stream that for you. So yeah, again, thank you very much to all of our patrons. You definitely are the backbone of Momentous Struggle. We do appreciate you. If you want to support the podcast and our road to Adepticon, by all means, you can become a patron. We will have a link to the show in the show notes below on how to do that. If not, the best way to support us outside of that is just to rate and review the podcast on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on, or you can go on to YouTube if you're watching us there and go ahead and like, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you think about everything that we're doing here, and we would appreciate that. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for listening, and
May the force be with you.